Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the crossover presented by Prime Sports World. Here for the NBA trade deadline edition. As we all know, the deadline is coming up tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time, but there have already been some crazy pieces moving around, especially just within the last hour. We'll talk about that. We also covered the Luka Doncic trade, the De'Aaron Fox trade, the Zach LaVine trade. But I'm your host, Israel Rivera. There goes TJ Hopkins. Possibly David to be joining later on. We don't know yet. Anyways, what's going on, TJ?
Nothing, chilling. Wish I ain't have to
Chilling.
go. Wish I ain't have to go in a couple of hours because weather,
I,
the weather bad and they gonna cancel everything. But we still gotta work. Ain't that some? Anyway,
I'm about to. Hey, I'm about to head out and go. I'm about to go. Swerve that corner, bend that corner. Whoa, whoa! I'm about to go. When I was on the pre-show, you could see me laughing, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I thought they said that they traded Lonzo Ball, but no, Lonzo signed a 2-year contract extension. So I was like, man, shit, I might swerve that corner. Whoa.
Hey man, hey
I'm
hey
happy for Lonzo, 2-year, $20 million extension,
hey
and I
hey
told you he's been balling.
he been starting the last few games too. And I you know what I take that as, bro. I take that as they fielded calls for him, but they ain't like what they was hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, hey, bro, just hey, and what's not being talked about, hey, he low key is one of the smarter players in the league. Like he,
Oh, absolutely.
so I just need Lonzo to get back in the double figure scoring. Hey, if he gets to a point where he can give you 12 and 7 consistent, 12, 7 and 5 consistently with a couple steals, you be happy with that. But we not here to talk about
I
that.
mean, I mean, I mean, TJ, I would actually love to see it. First of all,
Exactly.
like literally see it instead of yo, I'm like illegally streaming these games. You know what I'm saying? And so I would actually love for the Chicago Bulls to be back on, cable
Cable
TV
TV.
or some, Channel 9, Channel 26, like they used to be. I mean, come on. Anyways, yeah, craziness. You know what? The trade so far. What happened earlier today? Kyle Kuzma got shipped over to the Bucks.
Which is
For
actually solid. That's
Chris Middleton, pretty much. What are your thoughts on that?
it's I mean, like, to me it's a upgrade for the Bucks because you're not getting that production from Chris Middleton that you're used to getting now. I understand injuries happen
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth, but essentially you're getting a younger Chris Middleton. We ain't that far removed from Chris Middleton being the guy that the Bucks would go to in the clutch when they needed a bucket, or they needed a bucket to slow things down. The team on the run, like, hey, get the ball to Chris Middleton in that mid range, get out the way, go give me that bucket.
Oh baby, yeah.
Like, now with you adding Kyle Kuzma to that equation, you got that spark plug, because we ain't finna sit here and act like Kuz can't get hot and go crazy. And I think I want to say, wait, was he on that? No, he wasn't on that 2020.
He was.
He was.
He was.
So
Yeah, he
so he
was.
so he's back to playing quote unquote meaningful basketball, right? He don't have to be the guy that he don't have to be the guy to get the ball and get me a bucket, because that's Dame. Like, hey, we need to go ahead three, run the play
Mm-hmm.
for Dame, so on and so forth. So he can easily just go, hey, because he was putting up, he's scoring buckets on Washington, but it ain't amounting to nothing.
Terrible. I was hoping that Washington would possibly trade Jordan Poole. I want to see Jordan Poole play for a contender again because like Kyle Kuzma, we all forget, man. Before LeBron and AD got there, Kyle Kuzma was putting up numbers, on the Lakers with Lonzo Ball
Yeah,
and
that
Brandon.
young quartet, yeah, it was
They
they
were
was
putting they were putting up numbers. He was putting up like 17, 18 a game. We were talking about Kyle Kuzma as being one of the better rookies in the league at the time, and then LeBron
hmm
comes and AD comes and he's got to play he's got to be like the fourth or fifth option on the team. You know,
Which at
like
the same time, it's
third
like,
option or
hey,
whatever.
like, which at the same time, it's like, hey, you know what it is. Like,
Hmm.
your
Yeah,
game changes. Your game changes when those caliber of players are added to the roster, and your timeline is sped up because it becomes where it becomes, well, we gonna win eventually, to no, we gotta win now. And
hmm
Milwaukee is in a win now kind of scenario because they've fallen behind since that championship year, because Boston has gotten exponentially better
better.
than,
Yep.
than them.
Hmm.
Cleveland just it feels like Cleveland just came out of nowhere. Like, they doing it with a bunch of dudes that no other teams wanted, and Donovan Mitchell. And don't get me wrong, like, they did it right. Like, they built through the draft. They got Darius Garland in the draft. They got Evan Mobley in the draft. You traded for Jared Allen. You traded for Donovan Mitchell.
Hmm.
Max Struess was a cast off. Max Struess started. No, seriously, Max Struess was a cast off.
He was.
Karis LeVert was a cast off. I thought Karis LeVert found a home in Brooklyn. They said, no, buddy, you got to go. You got to get up out. Sam Merrill went. Ty, like, I ain't heard Ty Jerome name this much since he was at fucking Virginia.
Man, so Todd Jerome had a 2 week span, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, where he was like literally damn near like the best basketball player on the planet. He was like just literally balling mugs up, man. He was like playing like his best basketball I've ever seen him play. And I've seen him a lot at Virginia too.
That's what I'm saying.
Um,
I ain't
but
heard his name this much. So, like, if you're Milwaukee, like, you got to make the necessary moves to get back into the equation. Now, I don't know if Kyle Kuzma is that much of a needle mover for you, but that 17 a game will help you, or
yeah,
whatever he's averaging now.
I think he's averaging. I think he might be averaging a little over 20. I mean, he's seen. We all know that. Okay, Kyle Kuzma went to the Washington Wizards to be the number one guy, right? They paid him like crazy, and we seen that he can't really elevate them to be that Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma kind of. It just didn't work down there in Washington. And here goes Davis.
He's at 15. He's at 15.
Yeah, so it just didn't work for the Wizards. It only worked, for him personally because he was able to, probably get his confidence up. Like, yo, like, look, I can score 20 some a game, but on a bad team. You know what I mean? David, we're talking about Kyle Kuzma getting traded to the
Yeah,
Milwaukee
yeah,
Bucks.
I was listening. Yeah, so as many of you know, one of the reporters at the station I work at is a really big Bucks fan, and he's all up in his feelings about losing Chris Middleton. But I was explaining to him Kyle Kuzma is a better basketball fit than Chris Middleton is right now.
Right now, yeah.
Like, it's just period. Like, Chris Middleton is a good player, but he cannot stay healthy to save his life, and he's become a liability a little bit on the defensive end of the ball.
Absolutely.
Kyle Kuzma gives you more versatility on defense. You can play him at the 4, you can play him at the 3. I mean, he just gives you a little more, and then his offensive game is a little more advanced than Chris Middleton is at this point of his career. Yeah,
and he's younger.
For Bucks fans, it sucks to see Chris Middleton go. I mean, he was kind of like a throw-in in a trade, in the Brandon Knight trade in 2013, something like that. And he, he rises up, goes through their G League system, and ends up becoming like their second most important player on a championship team. So, I mean, Chris Middleton, what he's meant to Milwaukee cannot be understated, but he's not that guy anymore. He just isn't.
You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy, pal. Yeah,
And,
no, I mean,
I will be also super. I don't think he plays for the Wizards. I think Chris Middleton gets bought out. I think he ends up somewhere else. And the great thing about this particular trade for Milwaukee is it gets them back under the first apron. So if they wanted to now, they can bring in. It opens back up their mid-level exception, so they could sign a player mid-season if they wanted to. They have the opportunity
to get Chris Middleton back if they
They
wanted.
could. Yeah, they could. I mean, if he gets bought out, he could legit come back to Milwaukee if they really want it. That's the way things work out.
That would be sick as hell. Personally.
But getting back,
sick as hell.
getting back under that second apron is huge because now Milwaukee can package multiple players together and trade them for additional players. So they have other players on their roster that they could look to trade. They could look to trade Brook Lopez. They could look to trade the mayor. They could look to trade like Marchand Beauchamp. Like this one move allows them to potentially make a trade tomorrow or even tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, the night is young.
Even tonight, right? And then we got another the second trade before we get the Jimmy Butler trade. We got the Jonas Valanciunas going over to getting traded to the Sacramento Kings.
I don't really. I don't get it. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I guess Sacramento's going to try to continue to compete this season, but I think CD Sissoko. I mean, I would have kept him. He's like a raw prospect. I think.
Yeah, he's 19, 20 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, he's got some upside, and to give up 2 second-round picks and that player for Jonas Valanciunas,
Big Val.
I straight up don't get that trade. And Sacramento has spent this entire week getting fleeced on trades. Let's be real.
Yeah, Big Val's gonna play center in Sacramento. Then you move Domantas Sabonis over to the
but
I think he might come over. I think he might come off the bench though, in my opinion.
Then I don't understand this trade.
You're gonna have Malik Monk. It's Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis is gonna be their starting five.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think they still need a point guard. I just don't think Malik Monk is a point guard.
He's not. He's a scoring guard.
No, which also I don't understand.
I mean, if they're going to run a lot of their offense through Sabonis, I mean, I guess that's fine. But this is a bad move. This is a bad trade. Let's call it spade a spade. It's a terrible trade. Like, doesn't make any sense.
Big Val's a double machine though.
Yeah, okay, sure, but he can't defend at this point in his career, and all he does is put.
Was he ever a defender?
He leaves closer to liability like he is now.
David, Toronto literally traded him away.
I know for Gasol. Yes, I'm aware.
Hey, you know what? I got to give a shout out to the slow European centers and the slow centers, the big bulky double centers, kind of coming back. Because we were all talking about guys that can we need to stretch 5 and all of this stuff to spread the floor, but no, you got Zach Edey, you got Jonas Valanciunas, you got Ivica Zubac. I mean, I haven't seen him shoot many threes, but I mean, he's known for just being a big bulky guy, just a back to the basket player.
Of the players that you named, the only one that's not shooting the three is Zubac. I don't want. I've seen Zach Edey shoot a corner.
You said that there's going to be it's coming back. You mentioned 2 guys, and that's it. That's hardly a revolution.
No, I mentioned 3. I mentioned about 4 guys. You also got a guy like a Jalen Duren who's not shooting threes. There's a bunch of guys that are like centers that are not shooting.
He hasn't really developed in the way that Detroit hasn't really hoped. So
what?
I mean, he's just been okay.
What?
I mean.
No, Jalen Duren's been pretty nice, bro. What did he just have the other day against the Bulls? He just had a 20 and damn near 10 or something like that.
Okay.
But Jalen Duren's has improved though since he's come to the league. Since his rookie year. But anyways,
he had 21 and 13, but
my boy.
It's also the Bulls though.
It's also the Bulls. But
he is averaging 10 and 10 on the season, so that's
man. Come on,
to David's point, 10 and 10. That's it, really.
Yeah,
I think they thought he was going to be like an 18 and 10 guy by this point in his career, along with 2 blocks per game.
Bro, at least 15 to 10. But hey, let's get to
Anyways, get to the Jimmy
Butler award. Hey, me personally, I want to give him a goddamn thing. This is
first of all,
this is a class A session on how not to handle something. And I hate that this is the model because we see players do this all the time, where it's they request a trade, the team says no, and then they throw a hissy fit because I didn't get what I wanted, so I'm gonna pout until I get what I want. I'm gonna make it there's 2 ways to go about this. You go out there, you ball your ass off and be and make them regret not giving you what you asking for. Or you do what this guy did and you get, which lowers your draft value, lowers like literally limits the options of where you can go because it went from I want to go to Phoenix to you're not going to Phoenix to the Warriors backing out of a deal to Jimmy Butler's not willing to sign an extension with the Warriors to well you're going to Golden State anyway. And I think what happened here is what David just said the other day is you know what, we're gonna take the best deal we can get and we're gonna send you there. And if Jimmy Butler's so adamant about playing on the contender, one, that limits your options severely. Two, Golden State ain't the contender that people think they are, bro. You're
They're
10th.
like a
Man,
500
Miami,
basketball team right now.
dude,
Miami's
tenth
what-
in the West.
Miami got a nice little haul back though.
Did they?
And
I mean, they got
I mean,
protected.
I think-
I haven't seen what the protections are on this first round pick, but
So
I mean,
Dennis Schroeder's going to Toronto. I think Dennis Schroeder's going to another. He's going to
He's going
Utah.
to
he's going to Utah.
He's going to Utah. Yeah.
The
But they
Pistons
got
also
Andrew
are in
Wiggins.
this trade.
They're
So
keeping,
they get
I think they're keeping Kyle Anderson as well.
yes.
he's going to Detroit.
Is he going to Detroit?
He's going to
Yeah,
Detroit.
so really they just got it's just for Miami. It's really just a swap between Jimmy Butler
and
and
PJ Tucker comes back.
and Andrew Wiggins.
I imagine they're going to buy out PJ Tucker, but I could be wrong.
I thought PJ Tucker. Where's he at now?
I don't know.
Who cares?
I thought he was in Miami, but he was on the Jazz.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. Yeah, I thought he was on like Utah or something. I heard something about Utah. But yeah, that trade. I honestly, the Golden State Warriors should never even made that trade. This guy already came out and said he wasn't gonna sign an extension with them earlier. I don't think. I just think that was just a desperation trade for the Golden State Warriors because Kevin Durant, basically flat out said, "I don't want to play for you guys. I don't want to do this again. I don't want a reunion and go to Golden State."
I mean,
so they said,
the thing is, like
Butler.
Kevin Durant's
That
on a
doesn't make him
contract.
better.
They literally could have, like, if they really wanted to make that trade, they could have.
I'm blaming Draymond for messing up the church's money. Draymond fucking up the church's money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, I just the problem I have, I guess, with this is, like, are we totally? I'm not totally sold that Jimmy Butler is a just flat out upgrade over Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins,
he's
yes,
not.
he did have a down season last season and the season before, but he's bounced back nicely this season. He's had like arguably one of his better seasons in the league. Like Jimmy Butler. Maybe you get Jimmy Butler for just the playoff stuff, but is a threesome of Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, is that good enough to topple any of the other top echelon teams?
Absolutely not.
I would say no.
Not.
And now you're tied. And now you're tied to these three guys at least until the end of 2027.
We gotta kill this playoff Jimmy. Hey, you win shit. Play like special players win stuff. You don't get bonus points for getting there. No, you gotta eventually win something. We know what Jimmy Butler does in the playoffs. Lose. At the end of the day, he loses. Yeah, he might get you there, but at the end of the day, he loses. Jimmy Butler cannot be your best player on a championship team. We've seen it twice. He lost. And they weren't. I mean,
he went against some of the best. He went against like the Lakers that were one of the best defensive teams in the league. And then he went against a buzzsaw in Denver.
Wasn't close.
Against Denver. So
it wasn't close. I ain't trying to
PJ.
No, I'm just saying.
PJ Tucker's been traded twice this week already. Like that's
crazy.
Schroeder's been traded 3 times this season?
This year, yeah. He got traded earlier.
So,
I think it's only twice. But
and then on top of that, you give him a 2-year, $121 million extension. It ain't like Jimmy Butler is prime Jimmy Butler. Like dude is 36 years old.
He's got knee problems.
Yep.
Like
he's not really. He's not really. Doesn't really like give you that shooting. He's not like a knockdown shooter in my opinion from 3. Like something that the Golden State Warriors were always pride themselves on. I mean, he's a guy that's good in the mid range, good out of the post, good drive, and everything else defensively. But I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, is Jimmy Butler really stretching you out?
That's an issue too, because it's like, hey, I need. What if I need you to sit in the chair for 40 minutes a game in the play? I can't trust you to do that. Like especially so you're going to the Warriors. You're 10th. You're 10th in the West right now. And let's just focus. We ain't even thinking about the playoffs right now. Not because in order for you to get to the playoffs, if the playoffs if the stuff started right now, you got to win two play-in games if
Mm-hmm.
you're the Golden State Warriors, and
Yeah.
that's just to get into the playoffs. That being said, with that being said, you're hoping you like. I don't trust you to beat Minnesota. I don't trust you to beat Sacramento. And I damn sure don't trust you to beat Phoenix. And in the play-in scenario, Dallas is gonna get their shit together. San Antonio, you better hope Wemby and Fox struggle down the stretch because they gonna figure that shit out eventually. And you still got the teams ahead of you. Luca and LeBron, they too smart not to figure it out. The Clippers are the Clippers, they ahead of you. Denver's Denver, and then you got the young guns, who the top three teams in the West. Who is Golden State beating in that scenario? Who is Golden State beating?
Well, I
That
mean,
runs over with.
I think if we're having a real conversation here, I think if they were to actually make the playoffs, let's say they make it as, let's say for some miracle, because they're only 2 games out of, they're only 3 games out of the 6th seed. But I mean, if they end up becoming like the 6th seed and they go up against the Houston Rockets in a playoff series, I think they can win that series.
No, they can't swept. But
I mean,
Golden State, like
Golden State. Hey,
the allure of the Oracle.
I mean, because like there's usually like steps teams have to take. Like when you're a Houston Rockets team, none of those guys have been in the playoffs.
Swept.
Anybody on their roster?
Fred VanVleet.
Dylan Brooks too. He's been
Swept.
bro.
I think Golden State would win that series.
Swept.
They're beating the brakes off of Golden State, David. I'm
Swept,
sorry.
David.
I'm sorry.
Also, the
I'm
illusion.
sorry. Have you not seen? Have you seen the evolution of what's it? Amon Thompson?
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
Swept.
They've become a very good defensive basketball team. But like,
plus the
Tyrese sitting off the
illusion,
bench.
the illusion of the Oracle ain't it's just that, bruh. Like you're 15 and 13. It used to be you going to the Oracle, or whatever it's called now. You was gonna lose. They
Yeah.
15 and 13 at home.
Yeah, Jalen Green.
They 15 and
it'll be
13
tough.
at home.
It'll be tough. I mean, I literally. I mean, we just saw. I just saw the Suns almost beat them by 30 the other night. And it was like, yeah, Steph was just, he has bad nights like everybody else, but just the rest of that team, they're so young around Steph. They just don't. I mean, Buddy Hield, they got Buddy Hield thinking that he was going to be somewhat of an upgrade over Klay Thompson.
Like,
He's not that.
To Izzy's point, it was 130 to 105.
Yeah.
130 to 105.
We're talking about a Phoenix Suns team that hasn't, they've been okay, but they haven't been
like, bro,
the greatest.
KD was 6 of 13, and it was 130 to 105.
Yeah, no, Stephen Curry was missing every single 3-point shot, but just the rest of that team was just not that good. But yeah, I mean, this Golden State team, David, I think they're done. It's over with.
I mean, this is clearly a desperation move because they need to stay competitive.
It was a great run, and we see it all the time, and with championship teams that have sustained success like they've had. When you get to making moves like this,
yeah.
I think their last.
It feels kind of like when the Spurs, when they were on the way out, they traded for.
DeMar DeRozan and
no,
Aldridge?
No. This is before that. It was oh my God, his name is not coming to me. This is like before they retooled. Like they were in a little bit of a lull, and then they traded for. Oh my, I'm gonna have to look that up.
San Antonio was the only thing.
Al Jefferson. No, not Al Jefferson.
I thought it was
Richard Jefferson. So they traded for Richard Jefferson.
RJ.
Yeah, and like they were like, oh, this is going to be the piece to kind of like bring us back, and he just wasn't. Like,
yeah, no, I mean it's like I said, Golden State Warriors. It just seems like a desperation move, and
that trade happened in 2009.
It is. Yeah, we're getting old, David. We're getting old.
You don't have to tell me.
We're getting old. But anyways. I'll start with the trades to be made here coming up within the next, I don't even know how many hours. What is it? 16, 18 hours. We got 3:00. So anyways, what are some of the trades to be made here coming up? I'll start with you, David. What's a
I,
name out there you think that trade can be
I
made?
I think before it's all said and done, we're going to see the Los Angeles Lakers trading for an additional big, whether that be Robert Williams III in Portland, Clint Capella in Atlanta, or what they would really like to do is get Nick Claxton of the Brooklyn Nets. I think he'd be the dream target, but I think he may cost. He may be a costly trade. I've said. I also think they'd like to get Miles Turner, but a lot of
It'll
teams
be
would like to get him.
DeAndre Ayton. I like certain things that happen. Like pay attention to who's like not playing. Pay attention to who gets pulled early. Pay attention to all that other good stuff. Like because like that's kind of like a clear indicator of who might get traded, who might not get traded. Like
Mm-hmm.
I agree with David. I think the Lakers do make a move for a big. Who that big?
I think it's going to be Robert Williams III. I think they don't necessarily have the ammunition to trade for Nick Claxton. I mean, he just re-signed this offseason. It doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense for Brooklyn to trade him away. Miles Turner, I don't think the Pacers would be crazy to trade him. I just don't really. I know they haven't been all that good this season, but I think it'll be Robert Williams III. He will be a Laker tomorrow.
I also like. Can I just like real quick? I just like how Laker fans make like the Lakers make this move for Luka, and then like the Laker fans talking big, all chest out, like now we finna get this dude, we finna get that dude, and we finna be back. It's like shut up, please shut up.
Well,
Y'all,
they don't really have the contracts to match salary. They don't really. I mean,
That's-
unless they're going to trade Austin Reeves, which I still think they might.
I'm gonna name two players, and I want you guys to weigh in on these two guys. They're from our team, Chicago Bulls. These two guys, one Nikola Vucevic, two Kobe White. You think either one of those guys gets traded?
I do not think Kobe White gets traded. I think he's a piece that the Bulls are going to try to build with.
I also
'Cause
I don't think either
I'm-
one gets traded.
I-
I mean,
and
like,
I-
like,
and
I'm
Vucevic should be traded, but I just don't see it. Like I don't think it's going to happen.
like again.
I don't know if there's any
welcome.
teams out there that
That's what I'm
are
saying.
going
Like
to bust bullets to because Nikola Vucevic. They were talking about this on the radio the other day. Not yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. That AK. It took him like right now. Like it's very hard to find a suitor for Nikola Vucevic because his value has gone down tremendously, and
Ow.
AK. His value has gone down.
I mean, his player archetype is just not that in demand. Like
it's not in demand.
Like
And
they
then,
just don't need 7 foot bigs.
and then
don't
AK
block shots and
right.
poor defenders.
Yeah, and AK took he took so long to get rid of Zach LaVine that all he could do was get his trade back. So AK was he's super competitive. Obviously, we know that, and it took him a long time to kind of get some of these guys off. And right now, Kobe White seems to be like the guy. I've just been hearing rumors. He seems to be the guy that has probably the most trade value on the team at this moment, because you can get a nice package back for trade Kobe White.
I do not think that's even remotely debatable. Like for sure, like if we're talking about which of those two players has more trade value on the open market, it's Kobe White, not close. I think Kobe White gives you more versatility than Nikola Vucevic. And Kobe White is also younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wholeheartedly disagree with this notion of Vooch ain't valuable. Hey, to me that's trash. Like that's who's saying that? Like who legit wouldn't take 19
execs?
Who wouldn't take 19 and 10 on their roster? You're a fool.
If Orlando had him back, I think they'd be pretty happy with that right now.
They would be pretty happy.
Or
Detroit. I mean, Detroit is another option.
I was legit talking. Again, I talked to my brother and my older cousin. Like we talk every day, and I legit said like when that nugget about Joel Embiid came out that he's played in 400 some games, but he's also missed 400 games, and I'm like, hey, people kill Vucevic, but hey, I'd rather take a 19 and 10 that I know for a fact is gonna be there at the end of the day than whatever Joel Embiid can give me. And I know Joel Embiid is the better player. I understand all that. At the end of the day, I know Vucevic is gonna be there for me. So if you wouldn't take that 19 and 10, I will gladly keep that here. Be the idiot. Be the idiot.
Uh, so I guess I want to say this. What about some other guys? I want to throw another name out there. Kevin Durant,
Ain't
Bradley
going.
Beal. I
Ain't
know
going.
they're neither one of them are going anywhere. Are you guys surprised that the Suns didn't make any type of trade to kind of break that team up a little bit because it hasn't worked out
I mean,
at all?
what are they gonna do? I mean, they got Bradley Beal who has a full no trade clause. You don't think you're gonna
Right?
trade Devin Booker and
Oh
Kevin
God.
Durant. I mean, you traded
Devin Booker just became your all-time leading scorer in franchise
and
history.
I don't think you can get remotely close to what you traded Kevin Durant to get Kevin Durant back in a trade now 2 years later. I mean, you're better off just seeing how this goes, and if it doesn't work this season, then worry about it in the off season and maybe blowing this up, because they're stuck. I mean, they're a second apron team, so not only that, they can't just like package a bunch of contracts together and get another player. They have to do one for one swaps. So they're cooked. This is their roster. This is their team. The only way they could have made this work is if they were able to trade Bradley Beal. I don't think he's going to waive that
And
no trade
on
clause.
and on top of that, like again, the other team, like I say it all the time, you have to have something that I want. You have to have assets that I want. Like I'm not just gonna want draft capital. I'm gonna want players that can actually play, and so on and so forth. Now, for whatever reason, the again, if you're Pat Riley and the reason that you don't have some of the names that we've seen get traded over the last couple of years is because of your unwillingness to part with Tyler Hero, then yeah, you're not going to get a deal. Because if I'm trading away Bradley Bill, if I'm Phoenix, and you're going to give me Jimmy Butler, but I also want a Bradley Bill in return. I mean, a Tyler Hero in return, and you say no, then guess what? We don't have a deal at all. So if you're Phoenix, like, but and to David's point, especially on the Kevin Durant tip, you're not getting half of what you gave up to
Yeah,
get him. And I
yeah.
understand
I
Kevin,
mean, he's more valuable on your team than he would be in any trade you could make.
and I understand Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. Hey, at the end of the day, hey, that's still KD. KD at whatever age he is now is still a top 10 player in this league. It's not even close. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you're not going to give me the package that I want, and I wish fans would understand that, if you're not going to get the package that you want, or even remotely close to it, don't make the deal. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I do
I
think. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was going to switch the gears a little bit, and I was going to talk about two other players, or actually three. Let's switch gears over to New Orleans. Like, do you think any of those three guys get traded before the trade deadline? I'm talking CJ
Brandon
McCollum.
Ingram.
I'm talking Zion Williamson. I'm talking Bi. Like, do
Hmm.
you think there is a world where any of those three guys get traded before this deadline?
Traded
Because it makes a whole lot of
Traded
sense to
to
at
to
least
where?
trade
get
Bi.
rid of one of them.
To where?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know Bi's been banged
I,
up this season, hasn't played a lot, but he's talented,
yeah,
and he is a unrestricted free agent this offseason. So if you don't try to get something for him, you're going to potentially lose him for nothing this offseason. And he's been the kind of the crown jewel of the Anthony Davis trade. If you let him walk for nothing, you've basically squandered that entire Anthony Davis trade. Like, you will literally have nothing tangible to show for it.
Yeah, he gone. Drew Randall gone. Zoe gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Like, you will have
Dejounte Murray is. And I know it's a different trade, but
he's towards Achilles.
he's done for the year.
most
Yeah.
of next year. So,
Most
Most
of
of
next year
next
too.
year.
We don't even
Um,
know if we'll be a same type of player.
we don't
So
even know.
like,
We don't even
if
know.
Northern, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to just divvy up the rest of these pieces and start over from the bottom. I mean, you're gonna have probably a top. I would probably keep Zion. I think there's still talent there, and he's still under contract for
Oh
another
yeah.
hot minute. But those other two guys, CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram, I'd be like, if I'm the Pelicans, I would almost like take less than what I would want to try to trade those two guys, because if they leave for nothing, you're just done. Even though I think
It's
CJ
actually
McCollum is still under contract for a while, so.
it's actually a first where I say, damn, Zion Williamson is actually playing ahead of Brandon Ingram right now. Like Brandon Ingram's hurt, and Zion Williamson is he's not playing back to backs yet. New Orleans said he's not going to play back to backs pretty much the rest of his season.
Career.
But yeah, probably David the rest of his career in New Orleans.
Like
So,
real talk.
so yeah, I think Bi. I think you make a good point because Bi was on my radar as a guy that could be dealt along with other big names. Another big name like Nikola Vucevic or Kobe White or something like that. He's another guy that's in rumors as well. A guy like John Collins in Utah is another guy that is rumored to be traded out. I mean, him and Lauri Markkanen are pretty much the same type of player in my opinion. And I think Utah kind of wants to just get younger and kind of acquire more draft picks. And then you also have a guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic, right? That's just sitting there in Atlanta and just pretty much playing sparingly, not playing at all. Some nights, I think he might be hurt a little bit, or I don't even know what's going on.
So John Collins has a player option for next season. So he's technically an expiring contract. So if you're Utah, you should be motivated to try to move him.
Yeah.
I would like to see a BI in like Detroit. Like Detroit got a bunch of young dudes that don't play. That they've actually drafted. Like they got to do it out of Duke. Wendell Moore Jr. don't play. Ron Harper Jr. don't play.
I mean, you're not going to get anything out of Jaden Ivey this season because he's done for the year. I mean, that's a guy you'd probably be like, hey, like maybe we trade him away to try to win this season. Brandon Ingram, I'm not sure Brandon Ingram because he's out now. He's only played 18 games this season, and when you look at his numbers, I mean, they've just been kind of okay this year.
Yeah, and just going back to Detroit, Detroit's a team that's probably going to make the play-in. I mean, they're good enough to make the play-in this year. I mean, right now I think they're in the top 12, top 10 teams
so
right now.
They're currently sitting at 6 at 25 and 25.
They're the 6th seed right now, so they're playing really good basketball with JB Bickerstaff or whatever, JD Bickerstaff. So right now, I mean, if I was Detroit, I'd totally make like a move, like a guy like John Collins.
You put CJ McCollum next to Cade Cunningham. That would be
solid. My God, that'd be solid as hell. Yeah, I wouldn't say John Collins because like you still have a guy like Tobias Harris that's playing at 4 next to Jalen Duren at the 5, and then you still got Alsar Thompson at the 3. Yeah, Tobias Harris is at the 4.
Yeah,
in Detroit. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic.
I know you are. I know how you feel about Tobias Harris. Because in the playoffs, they're going to be a 6th or 5th seed in the playoffs. You ain't going to hear his name. You will have an ABP for Tobias Harris.
True.
So you know what I mean. You know how that goes. So.
And I mean, outside of names like that, I'm not really sure who the other guys are that would when you're looking at it, like, hey, this is the guy that's going to be traded. Because I mean, the trade deadline, the big names that we thought were going to get moved, they've already been traded outside of this shocking trade for Luka Doncic. But
yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're going to get any bombshells like that.
Julius Randle is an expiring contract. You could potentially look to move him if you're Minnesota. But what are you going to get that's going to be better than Julius Randle for a team that still wants to try to win?
And he's their second. I mean, and he's their second best scoring option on the team too. I mean, and that's a team that lacks scoring in a way when it comes down to it, because you can't really rely on Jaden McDaniels to be that second scorer and next to Anthony Edwards either.
I mean, there are some other names. I mean, Cameron Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets is somebody a name that's been kind of thrown around, and don't rule out maybe a potential another trade for the Spurs. I'm not exactly sure what they need or what they're going to try to get, but they have, like, as I talked about with the show we did on Sunday, I mean, because of how well their front office executed the De'Aaron Fox trade, they still have like every single one of their valuable trade assets. They have every single one of their valuable draft picks in their war chest. If they wanted to try to push and make another trade before the deadline tomorrow, they could. I mean, if they want to be the team that trades for Brandon Ingram, they could be that team. And like, they have young players and they have draft assets. They could make that trade happen. And that's a pretty solid threesome with De'Aaron Fox, Brandon Ingram, assuming that he's healthy, obviously, and Wemby. I mean, come on.
No, I totally agree with that.
Mean, that being said, they they ain't no damn. They're like they blew the lead tonight. Like they was kicking Atlanta ass.
They
And
was up by like almost 20, and then
next
Atlanta
thing you
went
know,
on that run in the third quarter. Yeah.
it's a 3 point game. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm not finna
Yeah.
chop that up to well they just got De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is one dude. Most of those guys have been there. They got the continuity, all that good stuff. Yeah, yeah, woo, woo. But on the Minnesota tip, they are playing the Bulls team right now that literally traded away their best player, and they giving them all they can handle. Anthony Edwards has 39, and it's a 4 point game going into the fourth. So
Anthony, and you know that team is that team right there is has been slightly disappointing. The team that we really should be talking about that's been super great has been Indiana, but we'll talk about that on another crossover episode because they've been so really good, probably the hottest team in the league right now. But I guess what are your guys' winners so far? Winners and losers so far.
I mean, I'm just going to swing to the loser side. The Sacramento Kings are the biggest loser of the NBA trade deadline. Like, you cannot sell me that they're not. You basically you don't get anything that's really all that good for De'Aaron Fox. You don't even get your own pick swap back in that trade. It's almost as if the front office forgot the Spurs even had it. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense whatsoever. They're the huge loser. They trade De'Aaron Fox. They get 3 first-round picks, right? But one of them is that Charlotte pick that's going to become 2 second-round picks if it doesn't convey this season. Charlotte ain't making the playoffs, so that's going to be 2 second-round picks. They got a 2031 Minnesota pick that might be valuable, and then a 2027 pick of the Spurs that you assume that if Wemby and De'Aaron Fox play together until 2027, that pick's not going to be valuable. And you got Zach LaVine, who maybe you could flip later. They're a huge loser. There's no way to dice it up. And then the Jonas Valanciunas trade makes 0 sense whatsoever. I don't get it at all. They're my loser.
So to kickstart the winners, obviously San Antonio. You get De'Aaron Fox. You don't have to trade away any of the valuable stuff that David mentioned, and you legit have your reincarnation of Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, but a better version of Tony Parker. I ain't finna say it wouldn't be a better version of Tim Duncan because that's disrespectful.
I don't think you're being a little disrespectful with the better version of Tony Parker. Let's be real. Tony Parker is the first ballot Hall of Famer. If he's not already in the Hall of Fame.
Tony Parker, no, he gonna get in, but he ain't first ballot. I'm just saying. At no point in time did you ever say Tony Parker was the best point guard in the league. Let's just call it. Let's say
okay, fair enough.
All right, thank you. Let's be real. Like Tony Parker, yeah, he was great. He won some chips. He was at some point in time he was very crucial to what the Spurs did. But at no point in time were you taking Tony Parker over Jason Kidd, over Allen Iverson.
In his defense, though, I mean, he did play in the era of the point guard, like Chris Paul. I mean, Rajon Rondo.
Exactly. And those other point guards managed to separate themselves from him. Like you was just like, bro, you was there.
I mean, and also like Tony Parker, also like his legacy, I think, is a little bit diminished by the fact that he played with Tim Duncan, a top 10 player of all time. He played with, he played under Greg Popovich, who became like the face of the Spurs, and he played with, Manu Ginobili, who's also probably going to be like a borderline first Hall.
He'll get in before, like he'll be first ballot before Tony because of his international
play. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, the Spurs. Yeah, I agree with you. They're a huge winner. They didn't have to trade a single one of the Hall pick that they got in the original DeJounte Murray trade. They didn't have to trade any of their young, not one, like not even one, like they
one.
Like not even Jeremy Sochan. Like they didn't trade any.
I hate to admit it, but Jimmy Butler's a winner because he got his money.
Yeah.
You paying that boy $60 million.
I mean, if you're the Heat, you got to be a big winner. You don't have to deal with the Jimmy Butler saga anymore.
That's one way to look at it.
I mean, you basically kept this team afloat for a month and a half while you dealt with Jimmy Butler and his antics for a month and a half, and you got a player that's going to give you arguably better. He's an arguably better player than Jimmy Butler is today. And you got I mean, I don't know what the protections are on that first round pick.
I don't either. You got
or when it conveys even.
There's definitely more losers that at this deadline right now. Right now.
I mean, if we're talking about this right, we're talking about this right now, I mean, you gotta consider the Suns as a loser. The fact that they were unable to get Jimmy Butler, he wanted to go to Phoenix, and you were unable to make that trade work out because of the way you built.
Again, is Jimmy Butler really making that much of a difference?
I think
He's a
he makes
clear.
a big difference.
He's an absolute clear upgrade over Bradley Beal. Bradley
Bradley
Beal's
Beal
been
at this point, Bradley Beal is
uh,
coming off the bench right
but
now.
I think they're doing that just so he'll waive his no trade clause. But like they're just like we're gonna
Bench
make you
you and
buy.
put you at the bench.
Like
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
you don't want to waive that no trade clause. Oh, we'll make your life hell.
We're gonna start Royce. What's his Royce?
Yeah, yeah,
What the hell is
O'Neal.
his
Royce
name?
O'Neal.
Royce
Yeah,
O'Neal. So we're gonna start him over you. Like, come on, bro. Like, yeah. I mean,
I think the Bulls. I think the Bulls are a loser. You trade Zach Levine and you only get one first. Like you traded away Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan, and Alex Caruso, and all the draft capital that you got for that was one first round pick, and it's your first round
your
pick.
first round pick.
Like
but
that's
I
But
do
you know what
think
I
like
want to say?
I do think that like if Kevin Herter can re-salvage some of his trade value, I think they can
and
get a first. I
you
think they
give
can get
a
a first
two
round
year
pick.
and you give a 2 year extension to Lonzo Ball, who's played the most. This is the most he's played in 3 years,
He looks
which
so healthy.
you're happy he's back, but at the same time, it's like, dude, like. And don't get me wrong, it's only 20 million. It's 2 years, 20 million, and in today's NBA culture, that's not even that's below cheap. That's not even cheap. That's below cheap because
Hmm.
that's 10 mil a year. Like it is what like you still got time to move Vucevic again for the right price. Don't just move him just to move him. But a big part of why Zach Levine was took so long to move is because of his contract.
Hmm.
He was making so much goddamn money. So and then again, teams wanted you to add additional assets to that trade, and AK just wasn't doing it. Um, I know they 40-10 right now, and they literally just won tonight. But I gotta say the Cavs are a loser because I don't think like I don't get me wrong, like
I
y'all
mean, I think
y'all
it's
I
I
don't
think it's
think y'all
hard
got
to
enough.
like.
I don't think y'all it's tough to say that they are losing, but I don't like when it comes down to it. When y'all face a Boston and set in the 7 game series, do you have enough to beat Boston in 7 games? Do you
But,
have enough
but,
to beat the
but,
Knicks in seven
but
games?
but I think it's like we don't really know what teams are done making trades. Like we can only really judge the trades that have made so far. And I mean, sure, you can. What if the Cavs go out and get Brandon Ingram tomorrow? I mean,
Hey,
they
if
would.
they if they get BI,
Like
hey,
if, like if that's the thing, like if that happens, like if they get CJ McCollum, even like if they get something that give this team an offensive spark, like we're talking about them as a huge winner. So I think it's difficult to really talk about trades that have not happened yet, and because we're kind of speculating a little bit.
but at the same time, at the same time it probably won't happen because it's easy to be like, hey, we're 40-10, we're the best team in the league, right? We have the best record in the league right now. Why would we make a move, right?
Because you don't win championships in the regular season, like the
No,
Cavs know
no,
that they
but
have.
like, but how many times but we've seen teams do that, right? Like we've seen teams have the best record in the season and stand pat. It's like right, like we
It
have the
happens a
best
lot,
record.
actually. Yeah, it happens a lot.
Happens basically every season. Like we're the number one team in
I
the
don't know.
league.
I don't know.
And
I think they'll be able to take Boston to 7.
and I think if we're swinging back into this and we're talking about trades that have already happened, we got to talk about the Lakers being a winner. The fact that you get Luka Doncic, you didn't have to give up the house to get him, and the Mavericks got to be a colossal loser because the
Colossal
rationale for trading Luka Doncic doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Yes, maybe this season they may be better this season,
Y'all
but
gotta see this
Right
game when
now
the
they're in the
shot
play.
clock.
Right now they're in the play-in right now,
Y'all
David.
gotta see
So
this game when the shot that
they got
Garland
some.
hit tonight.
who?
Darius Garland. Y'all gotta see this
No.
game. I'm sending it to the group chat. Like
Yeah. But I going back to the Mavs. I think when you talk about where they're at right now, they're technically outside of the top 8.
Top
They're
10.
technically,
I mean,
yeah,
they're not. There's no technically
they're,
about it. They're outside the
yeah,
top 10. They're
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 top
the
10.
11.
Yeah,
They're the 11th seed in the Western Conference.
yeah,
They have a worse
and
record than the Phoenix Suns
they
and
have
the
they
Golden
have
State
to
Warriors.
they have a bit of a challenge to kind of get together,
I mean, they've
and
lost their last
start
three
playing
games.
together. And start playing well together. I mean, trading for Anthony Davis. I mean, what did they think? Oh, we're going to be a fifth or a sixth seed, and oh yeah, we're going to take this team all the way to.
Well,
Man,
but
we
that's
got a
also
super spike in
that's
viewers,
also not
by the way.
fair.
Um,
That's also not fair to Dallas. That's also not fair to Dallas because healthy at this like one hindsight is 2020. Did we know Luka Doncic was going to get traded? No, hell no.
no,
No one has that kind of crystal ball. Two, when Luka and Kyrie are healthy, when that 1-2 punch is out there and they're healthy, I'm taking that 1-2 punch against anybody's 1-2 punch. And they were
absolutely,
and they were
absolutely.
and they were a top. They was already a top 6 seed when they were healthy. Like the slide didn't start until Luka got hurt, and then Kyrie was in and out of the lineup. So
Mm-hmm.
it's unfair to put like now again. You got 30 games. You have 30, and that's not a lot of time to write.
Let me,
That's
dude, it's gonna take them a long time to
so
kind of get that continuity,
check
to
it
get
out.
used to playing with each other.
Thursday, you got Boston. That
Bro,
Kyrie probably not playing for that. AD definitely ain't playing for that. Then you got Houston. Then you got Sacramento. Then you got Golden State. Then you got Miami, New Orleans, Golden State again. Then you play the Lakers on February 25th. Then you get the Hornets.
look, San Antonio is the West is a gauntlet about almost every year. But like you got San Antonio and Dallas that are looking to, like, especially San Antonio, I think has improved, especially with De'Aaron Fox playing point guard, but or playing guard next to Chris Paul or whatever. You got two superstars on your team at this moment in juncture for the San Antonio Spurs. So I continue. I think they're going to get better. They're going to jump into 7, 8, 9, 10 range. I don't know if they
Entirely
supersede.
possible.
I don't know if they supersede LA. Neither LA team. I don't know if they supersede the Denver Nuggets, not the Houston Rockets. I don't think they supersede the Memphis Grizzlies, and damn sure ain't better than OKC. And then you talk about Dallas. I think they're better than Go. Obviously, I think they're better than Golden State. I think they can be better than Phoenix. I think they're better than Sacramento. There's no
I
defense
mean,
can be
they're. I
played
mean,
down in
they're.
Sacramento.
I mean, they're kind
Minnesota's
of.
really not that great. So
Phoenix is kryptonite. So.
yeah. So it's
So,
well,
but
when Luka was there,
yeah. So I
when
mean, I
Luka
don't
was
know.
there,
I mean, you gotta like based on the trades that have been made so far. I also thought I actually really like the Kyle Kuzma addition in Milwaukee. I think that's a
yeah,
smart move.
that was very smart.
But so I mean,
That-
yeah, that's
that was very smart. And
Yeah.
obviously, teams like, godly Indiana's 7-3 in their last 10. They're not making any moves anytime soon. They're playing really well, playing really good basketball at this moment. So, I mean, hey, we still got what, 12, 16 to 18 hours.
Something like that.
3 o'clock
Something like
tomorrow.
that.
I think something
3
like that.
o'clock
Yeah.
tomorrow. So I
Yeah.
think we'll see the Detroit Pistons make a move, possibly. I think we'll see Chicago Bulls be huge sellers.
Bro, like if I'm
by
Denver,
the deadline.
if I'm Denver, hey, what do you want for Jordan Poole? We need that punch off the bench.
Yeah.
Because you don't have it. Like it's your record when Russell Westbrook starts versus when he doesn't is exponentially better when he starts and he's on the floor with Jokic.
Right.
But you starting Russell Westbrook takes that punch off your bench that's desperately lacking. And if I'm Denver again, like it's a lot of one and dones. It's a lot of one-time champions.
I like Julian Strawther.
It's a lot of one-time champions. Like
I like Julius Strawther. I think I believe Braun might be coming off that bench too as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So if I'm Denver,
think Zeke Raji's coming off that bench as well.
If I don't have to give up Braun, which I doubt they would, if I don't have to give up Peyton Watson, which I doubt they would, or Strawther, which I doubt they would, like, hey, what if I have the draft capital if I could just get Jordan Poole with draft capital, I would do that if I'm Denver. Like, hey, bro, give me that 20 off the bench. That would be That would be wonderful. That would be.
He's
great.
not doing so. Jordan Poole is.
He averaging 20. He averaging 20 right now.
I understand, but it's just like I just kind of feel like it's like meaningless. Obviously, in Washington, it's meaningless, but
Denver cannot trade a pick until 2031.
That's tough.
Oh, that's rough.
I'm just telling you. Like
I mean, because there were rumors, David.
So they traded this upcoming year's pick is still going to Orlando
and Westbrook as part of that Aaron Gordon trade. And Westbrook out right now with
2 years. They traded it to Oklahoma City. I'm not sure. This trade is complicated to even read, so I'm not sure what is going on.
I'm gonna be real with you, TJ. I'm gonna be real with you, TJ. I mentioned this guy's name earlier, and he plays on the same national team as Jokic. I'm calling Atlanta. I'm saying what you want for Bogdanovich, because he can give you that punch off the bench.
Yep.
And he'll cost a lot less than Jordan Poole would in this juncture in time, in my opinion. So that's that. But anyways,
I'm also seeing a lot of rumors about potential, like real quick, just potentially Paul George trades. I think it would be crazy for the Sixers to punt on that situation because it hasn't really worked out. I mean, they've been terrible. So I mean, if you want to get out of it,
they've been terrible because Embiid hasn't been playing.
I know, but like if you're the Sixers, you can get some value out of Paul George. I think there could be some smoke there with Paul George.
Yeah, who are they going to trade him? Who's going to trade for him though? New York?
I don't know. I mean, I think there are a lot of teams that could still use Paul. I mean, they could still use a Paul George. I mean, he's still a valuable player, a two-way player.
Trade him to OKC. Trade Chet Holmgren. OKC trade Chet Holmgren.
Trade him back to Oklahoma City.
Trade him back to OKC. Man, bro, you put Shea, J-Dub.
I mean, he makes a lot of sense in Detroit. I mean, he makes a lot of sense in Detroit. So. You know,
send him back to send him to Indiana.
Send him back to
Indiana. Yeah, because Pascal Siakam, it's not like they both like kill each other's games. Like Paul George is a guy that, Pascal's a guy that doesn't really necessarily need the ball all the time in his hands. He can go down to the post, he can get his, but we've already seen him play with a guy like Kawhi Leonard, and he plays with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton who has the ball for 16 seconds out of the 24-second shot clock and just decides to pass it and give guys grenades. But anyways, I think that's touching all bases on the trade deadline. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast here at Prime Sports World here. And in case you missed it, you can catch us on all streaming platforms where podcasts can be heard. And you can catch us on the Huddle Sports Network pretty much in an hour if you want to see that. At 10 o'clock, we'll air this episode at 10 o'clock. What's up?
And at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised at all if all the names we said don't get moved. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Vucevic don't get moved. I wouldn't be surprised if the big three in Utah, Sexton, Lowry, and John Collins. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, Laurie Markkinen can't be traded until he can't be traded this season.
I wouldn't be surprised if.
Because you got hella guards in Utah. You got Colin Sexton. You got Keontae George. You got Isaiah Collier. I mean, you got what's his name? Jordan Clarkson.
The fact that he ain't been moved is like
for sure.
And then Bryce Sensabaugh is pretty much like a hybrid shooting guard, small forward, point guard, forward kind of guy as well. So it's a bit interesting there in Utah. They got a bunch of different guys that are playing the same position. But anyways, in case you missed us, you catch us. I don't know when's our next show going to be. Probably not tomorrow or Friday.
Super Bowl recap, maybe. Yeah,
Super Bowl recap on Monday, guys. So you guys have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Don't drink and drive. There's always Uber. There's always Lyft. Have a great time. Put those parlays in, put those bets in, and enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. I'm Israel Rivera. That's David Alpine Huffman.
You're the degenerate encouraging these people to gamble.
And there goes TJ Hopkins. And in case I missed you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. And here is a message from our sponsors at the Huddle Sports Network. Peace out, guys.
Peace out.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.